I'm so excited for this video. I've been waiting to do this one for a very long time. There was a point in my life, 3-4 years ago, where I did something that forever changed my mindset and the way I thought about life and the way I interacted with everybody around me. It changed who I was as a person, and it was the number one reason why I became my own role model. I am, right now, what 4 years ago Daniel was looking up to. Now, I'll tell you exactly how I did it. The very first thing I did was I said, okay, Daniel, if you could have any personality trait, what would it be? Right? I talked about a bunch. The one that I chose was confident. So I said, okay. I wrote it down. I'm a visual kind of guy. So I wrote down, I said, I want to be confident. I said, okay, Daniel, why? Why do you want to be confident? Out of all the personality traits. Now, when I'm doing this for myself, you could totally think about which one would you choose, right? Let's play through this together. And then why would you choose the one that you're choosing? Now, in my case, when I said confident, I said, well, I just think it's a cool thing to have. And I said, Daniel, don't lie to yourself. What's the real reason? I said, well, above, it's just a cool thing to have. It's something that the people that I admire, they have it. Right? The people that are, because I want to be the guy who can talk to everyone at parties. I want to be the guy who can go up to strangers and start a conversation. I want to be the kind of guy who, when he walks into a room, people are going, whoa, look, it's so-and-so. I want to be the guy who isn't embarrassed to fall on his face or to say a joke that falls on his face, and just to have a presence. That's what I want. So I started thinking, I said, okay, who do I know that is extremely confident? Who do I know that has the behavior that I seek? So at the time, I said, okay, the most confident people that I know, and not like know like my friend, but know of, were two people. One, Conor McGregor. Two, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I said, okay, so I know who has this confidence that I'm looking for. Now, let me figure out, what do they do? And I spent months, I'm not exaggerating, months, finding clips of them on YouTube and figuring out and just really observing, how do they talk? Do they speak loudly? The pacing of their speech. When they go to tell a funny story, how do they do it? What are their mannerisms like? When they go into talk shows, how do they sit? I mean it, when they go on the Jimmy Fallon's and this and that, and when they go on people's podcasts, when they go on YouTube shows, how do they position their body language? Right? Because my mind was, I want to get your mindset. And if I want to get your mindset, if I want to be like The Rock, if I want to be like Conor McGregor, in just the confidence aspect, I have to figure out why you say what you say. And in order to figure out why you say what you say, I can also look at your actions. So in order to figure out what's going on up here, I have to figure out what's going on out here. I wrote down everything that I noticed on a piece of paper. I said, okay, they do this. They walk. When they're walking, they have their chest out, shoulders back, and they're looking forward. It's almost as if they're looking past everyone, as if they're looking behind the mountains, and their energy that they're giving off is like I don't care what you're throwing my way, I'm going to move forward like a soldier. Whereas when I thought to myself, I said, okay, like when I'm walking, I have my shoulders a little close, and I'm usually staring down, and like I look up, but in order to avoid eye contact, I would just look away, or I'd look down again. And I thought, that's interesting. I would look at the way that they sat down. A lot of the times you see this when The Rock would go sit down, when Conor McGregor goes and sits down, you see that they have this power to them, this presence to them, the way that they make themselves look big, or just, I know you can't see it, but it's just, even if they were to lean back, there's a difference between leaning back like this, leaning back like this, right? As opposed to, now imagine, me sitting down in math class, junior year, I'm sitting down like this. Right? So I started comparing those things, and I saw everything that they were doing that I wasn't doing. And I started to consciously think, okay, how much of that can I begin to do in my daily life? So guess what happened? The next time I leave my house, anything that would happen, I think, how would a confident person do this? I'm sitting in class. As soon as I go to sit down, and as soon as I go to slouch, because I've always been doing it, I would think to myself, Daniel, how would a confident person sit? And I go, oh, if I'm going to slouch, at least, chest up, shoulders up, chin up. If not like this, maybe hands at least forward on the table like this. Maybe hands like this. I say, okay. And then I would try to keep that posture. And then I'd forget. And then I'd get slouching. I'd be like, oh, Daniel, how would a confident person sit? I'd do it again. And guess what happened? Eventually, I got to a point where the conscious moved to the subconscious. And I caught myself doing what I told myself to do. So now when I go to sit down in class and I'm just sitting, and then all of a sudden I go, oh, Daniel, how would a confident person sit? And then when I think consciously about how I'm sitting, I would think, this is exactly how they would sit. I didn't have to tell myself anymore because I got so accustomed to sitting a certain way, walking a certain way, talking a certain way, that I had become it. So now, my friends, so the first thing is you have to figure out what kind of behavior you want. So I looked at The Rock, I looked at Conor McGregor. Second is you start incorporating that behavior into your own life. I started behaving the way that they would behave. I started literally, imagine it as like an experiment, as an acting experiment. I started, okay, if The Rock was here, how would he handle the situation? How would he respond? What would he say? What would his tone of voice be? What would his body language be? And you do that over and over again. And step 3 is mentally confirming it. So what do? I told myself, I said, I am confident. I am extremely confident. I am extremely confident. Now, the thing was, folks, whether that be true or not, what would happen is, if you saw my video about self-fulfilling prophecies, this leads to another concept called behavioral confirmation, where it's if I tell myself, I'm confident, I'm confident, I'm confident, just going back to that earlier point, the part where my little voice in my head goes, Daniel, no, you're not. Like, just telling yourself doesn't mean you're confident. My head goes, okay, so let's rationalize this. What evidence do we have that we are confident? And then I think about, how do I sit? How do I stand? How do I walk? How do I talk? And then when I compare that to The Rock, to Conor McGregor, to how they walk, how they talk, how they interact with their surroundings, I go, okay, wait a minute. If they're extremely confident and they do this behavior, then if I do that behavior, am I extremely confident? I don't know what else to tell you, folks. I don't want to say there's a secret. I don't want to say it was magic. It was literally, it's just, to an extent, it's just psychology. It's just biology. You start acting a certain way, then you start telling yourself, I am confident, I am confident. And what happens is you look at that behavior as confirmation. Behavioral confirmation is just, if I tell myself I'm confident, I have to have evidence now in order to back that up. So then when I could look at, you know what? I sit like this now regularly without telling myself anything. This is my go-to. Or when I'm talking to someone, I naturally have more expressive body language, but not because I remind myself anymore. I used to do that, but not anymore. So guess what happens? Now I have become confident. Now you've also heard this as, fake it till you make it, but I don't like the word fake it because that sounds ingenuine. That sounds like this whole idea of don't be something, don't pretend to be something that you're not. Well, hold on a minute. Now put that, because I think that's a valid point, but put that beside the idea of figure out who you want to be and start making steps towards it. See, now we're thinking. So it's not about being fake, but it's about being, this is who I am, but I want to be this. So rather than just saying, I'm confident, let me go through the steps in becoming that. So now my question to you, my friends, is what kind of a personality trait, if any, would you add to yourself? Now, going through that 3 steps, the figuring out who you look up to, like let's say you want to be extremely curious and this certain celebrity or this certain family member or this certain friend is extremely curious, you write that down. You start looking at their behavior, you compare it to your behavior, and then you start acting as they would act. And finally, you confirm it mentally, which ties it all up together in a beautiful bow. What personality trait could you, if you could add any personality trait to yourself right now, what would it be? Because guess what, ladies and gentlemen, I believe you can. I did that maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and I've never looked back. It is all in your hands. If you knew how powerful this was, you would be terrified. The things that your mind is capable of, it can make you extremely sick. It can make you feel worthless. But it can make you feel like you're on top of the world. And it can also make you feel like you can do anything. I hope this video was interesting, folks. It was one very special to my heart. Please subscribe and like if you haven't already. Share this with your friends. And I hope that you got some real value out of it. I really, really do. I wish you the best. And if any of you end up going through something like this, if you do want to add another personality trait, let me know. Hit me up, please. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, on all the good stuff. I want to hear about your process. I wish you the best. My name is Daniel. Take care of yourselves.